Hello and welcome to Art with Mr. P. Hopefully you remember that in the first week we looked at drawing. Last week we looked at painting with colour, and this week we're going to explore a little bit of collage. Now, a contextual link could be John Piper, who produced some very interesting landscapes using collage. Now, hopefully you remember that the word collage comes from the French coller, stick or glue. And hopefully you remember that we've talked about how collage is about sticking or gluing one material onto another so that the first looks different. When you glue or stick something onto a background, you can change its texture. Remember, texture is about how things look, how they feel. Not necessarily how they do feel. Yeah, they might be smooth, but they might look rough because of what you've stuck onto it. So this week is all about collage. Right, let's make a start. Okay, so what I'm going to ask you to collage is a farming landscape. So before we actually start, imagine in your mind, so it might help you close your eyes, imagine in your mind a blue sky, a few clouds, the sun burning hot, giving energy to the plants down below, a patchwork of fields, so a range of shapes that make up the fields, different kinds of 2D shapes. Now, we've talked about this in class. We've talked about the horizon, which is where the sky meets the ground. Yeah. We've talked about perspective a little bit, about how things look smaller the further away they are. Right, here we go. So, I'm thinking about the horizon now. I'm going to make a little mark about 2/3 of the way up the page, and that line along there hopefully will be my horizon. I'm going to find a brightly coloured piece of paper, something I've collected over the last week. Here's some yellow paper I found in the cupboard, yeah. And I'm going to draw around something to create a circle on here. Or because I'm feeling a bit clever today, I'm going to cut out a rough circle anyway. But if you need to, draw around something first, yeah, get the shapes right. Nice, careful cutting. And because we're doing collage, we're cutting and we're sticking. Now, I'm not going to put the sun in the corner because that doesn't look too brilliant. Yeah, what I'm going to do is put the sun about 1/3 of the way along. Yeah. Now, the reason I say thirds is because things that involve 3 tend to look good in art. Yeah? Okay, so we've got the horizon and we've got the sun. Now, I'd like to produce some trees that are far away. And because we're talking about plants, I don't think there are going to be very many cut straight edges. So I'm just looking at this piece of this magazine, and I rather like this ripped edge along here that I created earlier for another class. So I'm going to cut a straightish edge underneath that. And I'm going to glue that down along the horizon. And hopefully that will look like something, maybe some trees or some mountains far away. Yeah. So on goes the glue. Okay, so that, I've got the sun, I've got the sky, I've got the horizon. Now, while I was looking in my cupboard, deep in the drawer, I found this old tracing paper. And I was thinking I could rip out some of this tracing paper. And because you can almost see through it, which we're going to call transparent, I think I might put that just overlapping the sun there. And then one more bit. Another cloud coming in off the edge, yeah? Like that. Okay, let's tidy this up. Okay, so we've got the sky, we've got the sun, we've got clouds, we've got some far away landscape. Now we need something a bit brighter and a bit closer. I have found some green, but I don't want to use that. That's the brightest green I could find. I want to put that at the bottom, really. Remember, colours are bright the closer they are. So I'm looking for... Now, this map could work out quite well. So because we're looking for natural shapes, I'm going to rip it again. Something like that. And then I'm going to rip it again. And then I've got enough to go all the way across, I hope. Yeah. And that bit, yeah, that bit could go in there. Right, so I'm going to put some glue on here. I'm going to place that bit there. Now, I think that's a bit too jaggy, so I'm just going to get rid of the tops of the mountains. And I'm going to place that bit probably in there. Okay, now I need to make sure it's stuck down properly. Okay, so I've got sun, sky, clouds, far away, getting closer hills. I think I might bring the green into here now. So that fits nicely across there. So I'm going to very, very carefully whip this across. But not make it too jaggy. Put some glue on here. Now I did find some bright colours when I was looking. Look at that! Isn't that wonderful? Yeah. So because these are the brightest colours, these are going to be the closest. Yeah. So I'm going to rip this, and I'm going to glue it along the bottom. Now, hopefully you're getting this idea in this collage of perspective, where things look smaller the further away they are, and the closer the things are, the brighter they look. Yeah. Something like that. And I'll just stick this bit in. How's that? Yeah, let's tidy up the edges. Makes you feel better. Okay, so there we are so far. Now, sun, sky, clouds, far away, middle ground, foreground. Let's put some thing that looks like someone lives here somewhere. So I'm thinking, how about we collage a little cottage. White cottage, very popular around here. Now, about a third of the way in again. I'm looking for a colour I can use for the roof. Now look what I found. It's corrugated cardboard. I think it's absolutely perfect. So I'm going to cut a slither off, and then I'm going to make sure that I cut it to the right length here. Something like that. There, we need a chimney. So I'm looking for, actually probably, the chimney's probably going to be white colour, isn't it? At one end. Go in there. Okay, how about a bright red front door? So I can take off with this stripy bag paper. We'll put the door in the middle. And then now windows, quite dark, but they're often not black. They tend to reflect what's in front of them, which is quite often the sky. Okay, so we've got a couple of window shapes here. Getting a bit fiddly now. Might be a window here. A window here. I think we need some white strips to put in the windows. A bit wide, these white strips, aren't they? This could be the sea. Now, I think I've got a magazine here that's actually got C in it. Look. So what about if I rip? You know? I'm ripping a lot here because this is about nature, what you see in the landscape. Yeah? What do you think? Look like a sea? Could be, couldn't it? Not too bad. It's got a bit of sea there. So this is a cottage on the shore. Very popular, I guess. Okay. Get this right. Okay, I'm going to tidy the edges up. Okay, so remember, this is just a starting point. You put in as much detail as you think you can. So think about how small you can get. Can you put letterboxes and doorknobs on the door? Can you have smoke coming out? Have you got tracing paper maybe? How do you use, this is the really important thing about collage, yeah? How do you use shape, colour and texture to show what you want to show? So, just to recap, week 1 we looked at drawing, week 2 we looked at painting with colour, and this week we've looked at collage. Hopefully you've had a chance to look at the landscapes of John Piper, who used collage to produce some very textural landscapes, yeah? And by textural I mean landscapes with texture. Remember, texture is about how things look, how they feel. Remember, collage is about gluing or sticking one material onto a background so the background shape then looks different. Next week, we'll be looking at printmaking. You might want to collect a few materials that you can use in preparation for that. Corks, bottle tops, milk bottle tops, different things that you're happy to cover in paint or ink that you can then press onto paper. well done. See you next week.